Okay, today I have Adam Speirs on the line with me, and Adam is a two-time Manitoba Amateur winner and also qualified two times for the U.S. Open, the 2002 U.S. Open at Bethpage and the 2007 U.S. Open at Oakmont. And he's also the winner of the 2008 Canadian Tour Greater Vancouver Charity Classic. Thanks for joining me today, Adam.
My pleasure, Brett.
So, just getting into some of the sports psychology and golf psychology, how important is sports psychology to being successful for you and on tour?
I think it was maybe the most important thing that contributed to my win out there, for sure.
Okay.
I think, obviously, learning more about yourself and how you're playing through your mind, and learning how that works and how your personal mind works, just allows yourself to free up and play your best. So I think it's crucial.
Yeah, and a lot of guys seem to say, the more advanced you get in the game physically, the more important it becomes mentally, and the further down the road you get in playing professionally, then the more important the mental side is as well. Is that sort of your take as well?
I think that's probably the best way to improve. I certainly think there's, I felt like I managed my game a little bit better as the years went on, and I think that was partly or mostly because of sports psychology. Not necessarily having better physical tools, but knowing when to apply your mental tools and using them properly was what I learned as my career went on.
Yeah. Okay. Every accomplishment starts with a goal. What process did you use for setting your goals?
I would say that I used the SMART goal assessment. I worked with a sports psychologist, a friend of mine from university, that he was set on setting those SMART goals, the acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time frame. So every goal that I set had to meet that criteria, and it was a little difficult at first, just like anything else, you had to learn how to goal set properly, but that's how I used it, and I would break it down from largest goal to smallest goal. And so basically at the beginning of the year for me, I would set out larger, maybe less measurable goals, such as qualify for or get to finals of PGA Tour, qualify for the U.S. Open, win a Canadian Tour event. Very broad goals. And throughout the weeks, so that would be my main goal setting at the beginning of the year. And as the year went on, I would revisit those goals monthly, and to sort of maintain a focus to that overall number of goals, I would break down tournament week, whether it was what my practice routine and plan was for the week, what my goals were for the week specific to that tournament and that golf course, and then obviously from there break it down after each round, recording statistics, and those are obviously the most measurable after each round. So it would start broad at the top, almost like a reverse pyramid scheme, I guess, and start with very broad goals and get down to daily goals at each tournament.
Okay. Yeah, and I kind of like the SMART acronym, and that goal setting method. I guess it does contain all the key elements of setting realistic goals that are achievable and setting a time to actually complete that accomplishment. So And it sounds like you had a lot of different goals and different ways of measuring them and whatnot. So can you elaborate a little bit on some of those goals? I know you said you had broader goals and you had some more specific ones as well. A lot of statistic goals then, as well as the win this and qualify for that type of goals?
Yeah, the statistical goals would be on a weekly basis. I would say, for example, I wanted to be top 10 on the Canadian Tour money list. Well, how would I go about doing that? Well, I would want 5 top 10s in a tournament, which would include a win and 2 top 3s and 2 top 10s or something like that. And from there, I would break that down and say, and each week try to focus on what would allow me to achieve those goals. So, playing a few practice rounds would come up with a number, a measurable number of 14 under, for example. Okay, so that's your goal for the week, to shoot 14 under. How are you going to accomplish that? Well, if I hit 14 greens in regulation, average per round, if I have 3 rounds under 30 putts, so I would break it down like that. Okay, that's your goal. How are you going to accomplish that? Okay, that's your goal. How are you going to accomplish that? And go right down to, okay, you're going to have 4 rounds under 30 putts this week. How are you going to accomplish that? Well, I'm going to do this drill every day. I'm going to do this lag drill one day and a different lag drill another day. So I would break it down like that.
Okay, great. Wow, that's pretty in depth. That's great. I mean, it keeps you focused on what you want to accomplish and exactly how you plan to do that.
For me, it was more of an organizational thing. I'm not OCD, but I like to be organized. And so for me, it was when I was younger, my dad's little saying was plan the work and then work the plan.
Yeah.
So for me, it was on a Monday night. Monday was usually a traveling day. So on Monday night, I would sit down for half an hour or an hour and say, okay, Tuesday morning, I'll go play 9 holes and then I'll practice these drills. I'll go work out, and then Wednesday I'll do this. So for me, it was an organizational thing, and I do it to this day. On Sunday night, I figure out what I'm going to wear for clothes every day of the week. It may be qualified as OCD, but I just like to think that it's just being organized. So I get up on Tuesday, and I know what I'm going to do, and I know what I'm going to wear.
Yeah.
So I would do that Monday night and just work the plan, as my dad would say.
Yeah. Being organized is one of those things that I think is a big contributor to being successful, and it's something that we don't I'm not necessarily planning to get into that today, but
right.
Interesting that you pointed that out as well. So.
Well, if you want to relate it to a sports psychology, for me it was I had one less thing on my mind. So if I was organized, if I knew what I was going to do that week, I could focus on other things. I could focus more easily on the things that I was working on if I didn't have something else that I was unsure of. So for me, it was taking care of everything. I would literally have my power bars and the food that I was going to eat each day lined up, ready to go. So I would get up, shower, visualize, meditate, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Put on exactly what I had laid out already, not thinking about any of that kind of stuff. Grab my food and go.
Yeah.
So it was clear the mind, so I can think about things that require energy.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. I think it gives you more focus and can contribute to confidence as well when you don't have to think about other things. You can really focus on the task at hand and just follow the recipe and the steps that you've outlined for the goals for the week. So
yeah,
absolutely. Talking about goals and you won on the Canadian Tour. With that being one of your goals, how intensely did you focus on that? apart from the statistical goals and that being one of your top goals,
yeah.
I suppose.
I'd say every week. Once I got to a certain point on the Canadian Tour, I would say, my third year out there, that was sort of a very clearly defined goal every year that I would lay out is win on the Canadian Tour. Boom. That was the first goal at the top of the list pretty much every year.
Okay.
So I thought about it all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Great. How did you learn about golf psychology? Did you talk to other guys on the tour about the mental side of golf?
Not so much. When I first turned pro, I was working with a buddy of mine out in, at the time he was in San Diego, and I went to school with him. And he's a few years older than me, but he was taking his master's in sports psychology at the school that I was attending. So when I turned professional, he was dabbling in it. He doesn't have his PhD, but it was certainly an interest, and he enjoyed the coaching side, and obviously wanted to work with somebody who was sort of getting into the profession. So I worked with him my first few years. We lost touch a little bit, but I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from my swing coach. Sort of my first swing coach as a professional was David Tom's swing coach down in Memphis, and he was certainly a lot about the golf swing, but there was some mental teaching there as well. And then, when I was younger as an amateur, which I think was probably a very big advantage was for me to read all those types of books. I think that was a competitive advantage that I had over some of the other amateurs. I think knowing that I wanted to play professionally, I was taking it more seriously and taking steps to learn the mental side of golf. And I think compared to other amateur golfers, I definitely had a leg up there.
Yeah.
But as a professional, I learned from those guys and didn't talk too much golf psychology with other tour players, but certainly there was some psychological discussions, struggling with your game, struggling with the life on the road, sort of the lifestyle of a tour player, whether you were struggling or not, just trying to talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
That goes back to something similar to my organization, is that, if your mind is racing, it's whatever it is, whatever the reason why it's racing, it's difficult to play golf. So I think even having a couple of beers with a buddy and just hashing it out, talking about whatever, can be part of golf psychology, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned in there about learning and books. Any particular books that stand out in your mind that were meaningful to you?
I don't know the name. I can't remember the name of it, but it was one that my dad had given me when I was a junior, actually. And it was sort of almost like a daily story. And at the end of it, there was sort of one-page story. And at the end of the story, it was a lesson of what that story was about. And I remember taking each little quote from each little story and writing them down on a paper, cutting them out, and placing them around the house. And you'd open the door, pantry door, to get some peanut butter for your toast, and there would be a quote.
Okay.
So that sort of set me up, and that was a good one that I will remember.
Yeah. Okay. Great.